And John Kedzie like fucking took me aside one time, like fucking 14, and takes me aside at Tuts and is yelling at me, telling me that I think I'm hot shit and I'm not, you know, he's not from the fucking suburbs. I'm not some spoiled, rich suburban kid to me, and then going, I'm not gonna be a, you know, you're gonna go up to be a doctor and a lawyer. This is what I do, and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, first of all, I'm like 14, and you're like 30, and you're like bald, and you're yelling at me, like, you know what I mean? I felt like I was in school, like I felt like I, you know, missed a class, and so I'm getting screamed at by this old guy with bad breath, and he's like yelling at me, and I was like, oh, and I'm like, and then as a joke, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I live at Belmont and Pulaski, man. Like, I don't live in the suburbs in a fucking apartment, you know what I mean? And my family lives in like, you are a lawyer. Like, you know, I was just like, I'm a bartender, bro. You won, okay? Pat and AOF did all the hall shows, you know what I mean? That was all they're doing.
It seemed to me like January, February of '82 was when the underage scene really started to pick up, because there was a bunch of clubs around town that were doing all ages shows, which to this day I don't understand why, because they weren't money makers. And there would be 35 to 50 people at any of these clubs.
And I think bands from out of town were really surprised that they had to play 2 sets, because I didn't find out until later that didn't exist anyplace else. You could have kids come to the show if you had an underset and then an overset.
At first, I think the older crowd might have been a little confused by the young kids kind of just being little brats. And I think we went out of our way to be little shits, making fun of the old people who were 21, 22 at the time.
You were never my age.
Most of the old guys wouldn't even come to the underage shows. They'd just wait till the older shows, the old guy shows, the old man shows, we call them. And all the kids would come to the underage shows. And the underage shows were always a whole lot more fun because you had all the kids out there.
A lot more energy, a lot crazier. The old guy show, no one would ever dance, no one would stage
You just
dive.
stand there and drink your beer, and it was very boring.
It was the old school versus the new school. You know, retrospectively, it was really stupid.
I think the new kids may have been sort of a stylistic difference between the older punk bands, and it was starting to turn hardcore, which was really just a lot faster, a lot more about speed and hormones than any sort of art.
It was just a totally different atmosphere, totally different energy. A lot more aggressive, a lot faster, a lot just aggressive overall.
The Chicago take on slam dancing wasn't really slam dancing, it was more the Huntington Beach strut.
I tried to emulate the HB strut, but I got the timing all off and I would just hit myself in the chest. The whole idea of slam dancing is to pound the other person, but I pounded myself instead. I never quite figured it out.
There was sort of a straight edge scene here at the time, but I know for me it was because I just never drank. Anyway, I had never tried drinking, and it just seemed to be something to kind of rub in the noses of everyone else that we were young and different.
I know I keep on saying we were really obnoxious, but it really, that's so much of what I remember, how totally annoyed the older people must have been by us.
So just be yourself, just be yourself, just be yourself, okay?
Well, there were definitely older bands that were willing to help us out and give us shows. Articles of Faith and Naked Raygun were really big supporters of the younger kids.
Yeah, we played one of the first all-ages shows that I can remember, and it was at Exit, and 2 people came, Anthony Illarde and Mike from Rights of the Accused. 2 people.
These guys were kids. They were like raw, like 14 years old when their moms first started dropping them off to back us up.
We were coming from that whole punk aesthetic that, you know, you really didn't have to know what you were doing at all. As long as you could figure out how to play a show, that was good enough.
Rights of the Accused were really a funny band. They were sort of like the cultural equivalent of the Beastie Boys for Chicago. Like they took nothing seriously and everything was a gag.
1 banana, 2 bananas, 3 bananas.
Their saving grace was their humor, and that's one thing that I think was sorely lacking from hardcore.
Man, Rights of the Accused, I've never seen a group of guys that young have such command over an audience.
Rights of the Accused had songs like Mean People Suck.
Mean people suck! Mean people suck!
They had their tongue firmly in cheek, and the rest of the hardcore bands didn't.
Well, they were a funny punk band. You couldn't take them seriously. They were like, you know, they wanted to be Motley Crue. There's nothing wrong with that. That was fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you couldn't take them seriously.
Right, well, because everybody else was so fucking serious and creative. I mean, everybody's playing the same fucking 3 fucking crappy ass chords fast. I mean, like, what difference does it fucking make? You know, I'm gonna get up on stage and be really serious. Like, you know, what's my art? Yeah, we weren't trying to be Kate fucking Bush. Ow.
There was a couple of bands our age. There was Negative Element. There was End Result. That might have been it at the time, actually.
Wax Trax was the central point, and that's where, you know, everyone would go to pick up their cool records and everything, and that's where Steve, our brother, hooked up with Rights of the Accused. He found an ad that he answered.
The only guy who answered the ad.
During that time, I was in a Southern Boogie band.
And then we got the Stepes, and then we found this whole little clan of, you know, these guys from the far suburbs who were, you know, really bizarre and great and creative.